Hi, you guys. It's always so great to connect with you all. We're going to do a reading based on building positive experiences with others and the key to elements to building positive experiences with self and others. Okay, so building a more positive experience. And so here, initially, we have positive emotions come from positive experiences. And so it's time to open up your calendar and open up your plans and open up your energy to experience more positivity in your life every day of the week. And in order to follow through with this, you have to write down what it is that brings positivity to you. What brings you into a positive light versus what brings you into a negative effect or negative thinking. And it is important to stay mindful of your positive experiences that you had that have stuck with you throughout the years, throughout the time, even in dynamics when other people are involved, okay, as well. So that is a really big thing, is to focus on the positive experiences that you've had, what made you feel completely aligned with yourself, and opening up yourself to experience these things again through planning and participating in positive events or positive scenarios, whatever that is to you. Okay. And doing this, especially if you have not been on the bandwagon for some time, you're going to need some encouragement. And so the best encouragement is the encouragement coming from self. And this is why it's really important to be aligned with yourself, because when you are aligned with yourself, then you listen to yourself first, coming from a place of wisdom and discernment, and also coming from a place of a high vibration and of light. And so it is important to get the encouragement that you need in tough times. And this definitely comes from self, because you are the self starter in your life, but also coming from a support team that is very encouraging and very positive to you, who can coach you, cheer you on and affirm. And before, like I said before, we are the common denominator of what comes into our life. And so before you can be coached, cheered on and affirmed by someone else, this has to become your self-talk. Okay, so now what you would do is you will write down 5 to 10 statements that you can practice when you are experiencing, just like a sense of loss, a sense of like not clarity, a sense of, where you can't like self start. And so, what I would suggest and what has worked for me was, creating little pieces of paper every day where I will write down what I am grateful for. Because every time that I am, enthused about what I am grateful for, I will write that down and I will put this in a jar. And on the days where I did not simply have it to give to myself or to give to others, I, opened the jar and poured out all of the pieces of paper that I've put inside of the jar, and I read them one by one, and slowly I started to realize that things are not as bad as I thought they were, in that moment of weakness, in that moment of just being human and feeling human emotions. So so the examples that you might can use to tell yourself is, I got this, all crisis past, my skills will get me through. The same God that looked out for me last time is the same God that's going to look out for me this time. It is okay, this moment will pass, it is not forever. There are many things that I am grateful for. Let me tap into what I am grateful for and what is working for me, because what's not simply working for me today, it could just be that's just what it is today. We have to learn from everything, and that's why I speak so big on understanding that everything is a karmic cycle. And when we complete that karmic cycle, ultimately we have checked that off our list. If we have not checked the experience off our list in a successful manner, that means that that karmic cycle is still open, and that is something that we need to learn in that area. Okay, so that's that for building positive experiences, and that is that for encouragement. Now, let's talk about distress tolerance, and this is when you are coping with things when you are in a stressful situation or in a crisis. So, this is what you would consider to be survival mode, so distress tolerance, and it is an ineffective manner which you include like drugs and alcohol and self-injury and just behaviors that put you in that devil card energy, right? And that's the vices that we allow to take over us. And when we feel like, we can't do anything right or something is not going right, we then turn to substances that can alter our mood. So if we were in a place where we were continuously worrying about things, then we would subject ourselves and say, okay, so I am going to use a mood altering substance that make me forget about it. And ultimately, if we continue to be in that energy, what will happen is we will begin to depend on that. Whatever that vice is, it does not have to be just drugs and alcohol. It can be self-injury. It can be spending money, overeating, gambling. It can be anything that we feel that is nurturing and that is comforting to us at that same time, but it can cost, it can result in a great cost. Okay. So it provides temporary relief for us, but at a great cost. That's pretty much what I am saying. And so, what we can do to identify if this is something that we're doing or not, we'll make a list, okay? And so, if you don't have your pen and paper out at this time, you should know that you should have your pen and paper out at this time and to take notes, because these notes are very valuable. And although it seems to be very small, we have to tackle, it's just like what a doctor, right? A doctor can give you the prescriptions to get rid of the side effects, but let's actually go into what's causing the problem. So I consider myself a professional plucker, which I definitely like to go within to figure out where the issue is coming from. So not only let's pluck the problem, but let's go, once we find that relief, let's deep dive in further to understand why that, ingrown hair keeps coming, back up anyway. So that's what my coaching and my, spiritual advising, and that's what I focus on with these cards. So I allow these cards to tell a story that you can grasp through visual aspects. And once you grasp this through visual aspects, you can then follow me on what it is that I'm saying while also taking notes. Okay, so now we can focus on healthy coping behaviors, right? And so let's think about what it is that we can, feed into without it being at a great cost. Because, okay, so for example, if you drink a lot, you understand that the great cost that you'll have is you'll have side effects. That is, you'll be very dizzy, very sick. You'll have a hangover. If you're driving, you have the there is a possibility that you could crash and if not hurt yourself, hurt others. So there's pros and cons to everything that we do. So when you think about distress tolerance, it's time to make a list of coping behaviors that are healthy and coping behaviors that are not healthy. Okay, these are your pros and cons, and no one can create this list but you. But what you can do is you can, if you need some guidance on how to move forward with this, you can either reach out to my team and I'll share that information later, or you can simply go ahead and go online and you can research, how to make a list to identify coping behaviors both positively and negatively. Okay, so that is something that you can do in that area. Okay, so emotional regulation. Now let's make sure that we're keeping the main thing the main thing. And what we're talking about in this dynamic is building positive experiences. And this relates to positive relationships with self and others. Okay, so let's make sure that we're keeping the main thing the main thing. Now let's go into emotional regulation. We know that emotional regulation skills, it decrease vulnerability to increase emotions. Now, increase positive emotions is what we are building upon. Positive emotions build a sense of confidence and competence, within an individual, right? And so they act more in a healthy manner with healthy behaviors versus unwanted emotions and negative behaviors. That is very important. So in emotional regulations, you have both immediate and long-term benefits that needs to be practiced. So it is important to contemplate on your life and how you would like for your life to be improved in a more balanced emotion. So if you are, for example, and I want to pull cards on this because I want to deep dive a little bit more into emotional regulation, because everyone, you know, um, express their emotions differently. So if you are a very passionate person, you can, be more of like the Knight of Swords energy, where you like charging ahead, and you're very passionate and you want to express your passion, and you feel everyone should understand you when you are speaking or acting in a very passionate manner. But everyone does not express themselves or react the same as others. So although you may come from a place of passion, there are some emotional regulations that needs to be put in place within yourself. Okay, because you can be very passionate in an area, but you can also drive yourself into a wall if you are not very careful and not seeing exactly what's in front of you. Okay, so then emotional regulation is you can be very timid. So not being, wanting to speak out, not wanting to share your values, but wanting someone to read your mind, and feeling like lost, in the code if because you're not expressing your emotions. And so this is needed in emotional regulation as well as anger management as well. So if you are a type of person where you are very like angry, then this is important to understand what is bringing this anger to surface and how you are communicating this. And when you are communicating this, you know, is this something that you're communicating only for you to understand? Is this something that you're communicating for, the people around you that you are communicating with to understand? That is very, very important as well. So you can write down in one aspect of, your emotions, your love language, or how you communicate, right? And then you can write down where you have once went wrong, and you know um, not getting the grips on your emotional regulation, if that makes sense. Okay, so you want to understand that you are vulnerable, right? But you decrease the vulnerability to increase the emotions, but you're increasing the positive emotions. And this, what comes with these emotions, is confidence and competence. Okay, so let's get some cards on emotional regulation so that you know um, you're able to grasp exactly what it is that I'm saying. Okay. I'm going to get one more card. Okay. Well, a few more cards wanted to come out, so I'm going to take them. Okay. So we're going to start with what comes out first. Now, this is what you're feeling, how you are communicating, right? You're deciding to move in this direction to communicate clearly what it is that you are trying to say. Right here, this is an attachment. So we're going to look at these two individuals here as an attachment. Now, you're taking the knowledge that you have, the attachment that you have, and this is emotion. We see the water, okay? Waters are connected to emotions. So you are fully in your emotions here in this aspect, right? Okay, so we take the Ten of Wands and we see that you are not only moving in a direction, but once you've reached the land, you are now taking what it is that you have. So on this journey, you've learned a lot, because there's a lot of water here. There's a lot of body of water here. So it's going to take some time to get to reach the land, which is over here. So you have some thinking, you have some contemplating to do, you have a lot of things to take in consideration, but being mindful of the direction that you are headed into. Okay, once you get off of your boat, you understand that this is what you are taking with you. Okay, you're going to express this, and this is what you're going to express in a very grounded way. Okay, the results of that is very fruitful, being received, understanding every aspect of what it is that you're saying, because you're acting from a wise mind. So where there was once maybe a lack here, because it's not that much in that picture, or a lack here, this is a full picture. This is in the light. This is clarity. This is something very tangible. The Queen of Pentacles, she sits on her throne in a very peaceful manner, in a very abundant, nurturing manner, connected to all things that are around her. And so this is where we aim to be when we are in emotional regulation. Okay. Now, we're moving the Knight of Wands. And if you see that this Knight is moving in a very hasty way, right? Okay. So how I want to look at this is what makes sense. So this Knight is moving in a direction. Now this is not having emotional regulation. So this Knight, he's moving. He has what he wants to say. He's guarded in some aspects. There's some ego also showing on this Knight as well, moving into this area. Now, moving directly into this area and understanding, okay, I'm going to say what it is I have to say, it creates some confusion. It creates not only confusion, okay, because this does not seem like it's that far from where he's currently, residing. So he's just moving over here in this area, but he's communicating his emotions, and it's in a very chaotic manner. Now, when he's expressing his emotion in a very chaotic manner, it now, bring in the energy of black and white. Now it's segregation. Now it's in an energy where things are divided versus things being together, if that makes sense. Okay, there's a division. There's a common ground here, but there's also a division. So this is an example of mission not accomplished. Okay, so let's put this to the side. And now here we have, and I look at this like this, okay? So we look at the fact that you've gone in and you see both aspects of it, okay? You see light, and you bring truth to light, and you also understand, what it is, the vices of it. Now this brings justice. Justice is the ultimate balance, right? It's not the balance of what it seems to be, but it's what the balance of what it actually is. And then we have the Empress. So we move from the Queen of Pentacles to the Empress. The Empress is the highest card in the deck, right? She is all knowing. She is just emotional regulation. If emotional regulation was a card, it would be the Empress. Okay, so we have justice here. Actually, we'll look at it like this. We have the Empress here, and I explained the Empress, and I explained justice, and we have the Devil card here, which is the vices. Okay, and I'm looking at this as like the red flags. So where you once was not able to see things in a very positive light, it was either positive or negative. You brought the balance into one. This is what shadow work does for you. Shadow work brings balance. It brings truth to light. It brings light and dark. It brings what's chaotic and what is not chaotic. But we need both sides, because this is a karmic cycle. This is a karmic cycle completed, and we're here in the middle, and we're understanding every aspect of it. So when we talk about karmic cycles, and I was thinking of this a few days ago when I was aligning some things within myself, and I said to myself, okay, so a karmic cycle is neither good nor bad. It's learned or unlearned. And that's just what that is. And when you come to a karmic cycle, you have to understand that there are some things that you can check off of your list. It is advisable to check things off of your list in life in general, but to do so with your emotions being regulated. So you don't want to pour too much into it. You don't want to pour too much out. You want that perfect balance. But in order to get to that perfect balance, you have to complete karmic cycles. That's addressing, and that is just addressing what was swept up under the rug, whether it was, your lineage, your generation, or your family line. There was a lot of things that has been swept up under the rug, and we conform to the normalities of our family dynamic and of the world, and we really do not start to sweep that stuff from up under the rug, and most of us don't even know how. And so when we get that balance, it's important for us to understand how to do the work, because it's really going to show spiritually and tangibly. Okay. So right here, last but not least, we have let go of judgments. And it's saying that we all have judgments. We all have all these things that we've noticed, and we let some things stick, other things we don't let stick, but it's just like the clouds drifting. And we have to be aware that judgments are only weather patterns. We are the sky, and this goes into the quote that I love so much is, I am the sky, everything else is just the weather. Because when you are the sky, there's a lot that comes and goes, but ultimately the sky stays the same. So weather comes and goes, right? You have airplanes in the sky, you have birds, you have nature, you have weather, you have all these different things that are going on in the sky. Pollution, you know, everything that humans throw up in the sky and all of this stuff. But ultimately, the sky stays the sky. And that is what we are meant to do. As things come and go along our way, it is important for us to understand who we are and to stay solid in our truth. And so I just want you to imagine, right, a storm rolling in, right? But how it passes through time, how it passes through each neighborhood, through each climate. So the storm does not stick. So when we let go of judgments, we have to understand, we have to compare judgments to the storm. Judgments are only storms that are coming in. And it can affect the way that we move about. It can affect the way that we accept or reject things in our life. But it is important to understand that judgments come and go. So if someone is judging you, this is just one person or a few people out of so many billions of people. Judgments come and go. It is not to stick to you. It is not to create, a life-changing experience for you. It is just to be mindful that everyone does not think the same. Everyone does not approach things the same way, and that is completely fine. And so the imagery that I just saw in my mind was one person standing on the side of a 6 and the other person standing on the side of a 9. Now, this 6 and 9 is just one number, depending on which area that you are, standing on. But ultimately, it is just one number. It is one vibration. But there's a individual that's standing on this side, and there's an individual that's standing on this side, and they can't seem to meet the common ground because they're seeing things from a different perspective. So it is really, really important to understand that, it is not for us to judge anyone because we cannot see things from their perspective, but to be more understanding. And so even when it comes to self, because we are the common denominator for self, so be mindful of the judgments that you put on yourself. Right? Be mindful of the judgments that you welcome in. Constructive criticism is not the same thing as judging. Okay? So be mindful of what you are judging yourself and how you hold yourself accountable. Okay? And that has everything to do with everything. Now we have more cards here. Okay? And these cards speak of influencing your emotions. And so choosing to participate in certain events or participate with certain things that are around you is very important to be mindful of. So as we keep the main thing, we are talking about building positive experiences. That is what that's what we're focusing on, building positive experiences. So we have to understand that building positive experiences influence our emotions. And so it starts to, it's important to start engaging in positive emotions and behaviors and noticing the changes that you have in yourself. So not only doing something and getting a result out of it, but actually walking yourself through the process of feeling is what's going to allow you to get closer to yourself, okay? Because when we talk about building a positive relationship with ourselves, that is actually looking at ourselves as we are someone on the outside and someone on the inside. So we have to make sure that we treat ourselves as good as we treat others. That is very, very important. So, seeking a more neutral or positive interpretation of events. Again, and noticing how you feel. So something that you were made closed about in the past, and now that you've grown, now that you have a different perspective on life and you've experienced many things, let's go back to the drawing board and seeing, will you experience that over? you know is this something positive that you take a part of, and it's going to have a very fruitful effect for you? Okay. And so the power of what you choose to do and how you choose to think is very, very real. And so it's important to notice these connections that you have with yourself. So what you can do is take out a pen or a piece of paper. Take out a pen or a pencil and a piece of paper or a notepad, and write down the positive experiences and interpretations and events that you have, that you've went to, and not the ones where it was like, it's so. I enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy it to the full extent. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about find something that you've enjoyed to the fullest extent, and when you were in that moment, you was like, I could do this again and again. And how you will feel now, like, I haven't done that in such a long time. I would love to go ahead and do that. And not only think of it as a thought, but write that down and begin to put that in as a plan that has everything to do with where you are now and where you seek to be. Okay? So I am getting that. Let's pull some cards really quickly to speak of this event of influencing emotions. And like I said before, tarot cards, they have every aspect of the elements of what we experience through the cycle of life. And it's just like a deck of playing cards. Every suit means something. Every number in the card, every arcana means something. That has everything to do with what we experience in life. So, when people put a negative connotation on cards, that is only from the perspective of which they've experienced, either someone who, utilize cards, or how they think of cards, or, something of that nature. But ultimately, the cards are not bad. They just bring truth to light in situations. And the truth can be very scary to people depending on how, it is dispensed to others. But let's talk about influencing emotions. So the next card that we have up is Be Flexible. So let's talk about influencing emotions and being flexible. And let's use the cards to express that to us. So we have the Eight of Pentacles, which is work. We have emotional fulfillment. And so let's stop right here. When we talk about putting the work in, and we talk about, being flexible, right? Building positive experiences. We look at this as building positive experiences, because as he was building, he put the pentacles from the top of where he can reach, and he continued to work, continued to do the work, and put his pentacles until he have no more space on this tree or this pole or whatever it is, and he decided to sit his pinnacle here. The other pinnacle that he just finished, he decided to lay it on the ground next to him as he is continued with this pinnacle. And this pinnacle seems as that he's already done. He just have a little bit more work to do. He's very, very focused. If you look in his face, he's very, very focused on what it is that he's doing. He have no distractions around him, and he understand what it is that he set out and what goals that he wants to see manifest from this hard work that he's putting in. So we can allow this card to set a positive example for us as we build positive experiences in our life. Now, pentacles are tangible, which you can touch, taste, use to spin, whatever. In this deck, this is related to money or a tangible item. So this is something that will be more generational. This is something that will be generational. This is something that he can take and he can share with others as well as himself. Okay. Now we have the emotional fulfillment, and I look at this as the cup runneth over, the Ace of Cups energy. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Four of Swords. This is going within in a meditative position. This is being very intentional, because when you're laying down If you're laying down with your hands like this, if you're laying down on your back, this is a very intentional position to be in. This is also a very peaceful position to be in as well. And so downloads, getting at these swords are downloads, understanding. So you have all of these thoughts and things that you're putting into fruition, and then here is the completion of it, being in alignment with yourself. So as we build positive emotions, it will make us feel very grounded and very sure of ourselves. What else do we have for building positive experiences and being flexible? This means that when ideas come to us, right? When ideas come to us, now we have a choice because we have 88 here, but I'm going to take my time really quickly. So we speak about doing the work. We speak about emotional fulfillment and being in alignment with oneself. Now, during this process of going within in this meditative position, things are going to come to you, right? Things are going to come to you that is going to be very distracting during this position of where you are aligning yourself and getting yourself together. But you have to have the strength within yourself. And this is what I'm saying, like maximum clarity here, clarity completed, because here we have 88. We have these emotions that does not serve us. Clearly he's walking away from this, right? So we have the emotion that does not serve us, and we have what we're building to. This is the same thing. You can choose if you're going to have cups that are empty or if you're going to produce tangible results. But ultimately, this is the epitome of he will not give you more than you can bear. He will not put on the scripture. He will not put more on you than you can bear, because this right here is 88. It's ultimately of what you choose to do in this aspect. But we have the moon here. So no matter what, the divine God is always watching you. So even when we have this opposing energy here, you have to make a choice. You cannot blame your decisions on a darker energy or a more distracting energy or your vices, because we all have the opportunity to put our mind where we want it to go. And either way, they both produce results. Okay. So I look at this card as he will not put more on you than what you can bear. And through every situation, you always have an out. It's just that you have to deal with the emotions that comes with that. But that is going to heal, because once you get this sense of choosing which direction you want to go in, this will dissipate and the emotional fulfillment takes over. Okay. So let's put that in that aspect for you, so you're able to see it. And at the bottom of the deck, I just want you to see at the bottom of the deck, we have the Justice card. This is the balance of energy. This is the balance of self. This is how you build positive emotions within yourself, so that you are able to share this with others. This is how you keep the energy of positive relationships going. You get rid of what does not, you work on yourself. You get rid of what does not serve you. And what if it's as many things that does not serve you as many things that you want, then you just have to do the work and go within and be brave enough to face yourself. Now let's talk about dialects and what dialects are and how it contributes to the key elements to building positive relationships, experiences within yourself and others. Now, positive dialects are thinking. It helps you to regulate. Thinking is either all or nothing. It's either black and white. Not seeing the gray area. So it is important to see the gray areas in situations that are black and white. Seeing the gray areas in things that are, all or nothing, right? So being flexible in your thinking and finding the middle ground is what's going to help you in a very fruitful direction in your behavior. So finding the other person's perspective instead of procrastination on a task. Find ways to, break the ice with 1 or 2 small steps. Don't put too much more on yourself than you can bear, because small wins are big wins. Small wins are taking that step. And I look at that as another quote that's saying, do not think that small drops in a bucket will not produce maximum results. Every small drop in a bucket aids to that bucket actually filling up. So we have to be mindful that everything that we put out, we will get back. We cannot watch the growth. We cannot watch the paint dry. We just have to put the coat on there, walk away, understand that there's other things that we can do, not to put our attention truly on that, but to plant those seeds, come back and take care of that wall as many times as we need to, and then we will see the finished product from that. But so we have the King of Swords, and I look at this as like pessimistic behavior, right? Ego, not being willing to see things from a higher perspective, right? And this is low vibrational energy. This is very stubborn energy. This is either seeing it black or white, all or nothing, not giving way to releasing anything. So we have the Ace of Cups, we have the Devil card again, and we have the Three of Wands. So a look at this is like setting out on an adventure. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Judgment card. So right here, setting out on an adventure, because this is the results that you want. This is the results that you are after, right? Emotional regulation, understanding positive energies, give and take. This is what this is about. Now, this is also what this is about. So even within this, you are able to see the vices. So this is coming together and not looking at anything as good or bad, but looking at everything as you need both elements to succeed. Okay? So you're understanding what fulfills you emotionally. You understand what your vices are that fulfills you emotionally, but not necessarily good to you. You understand that both of these are good for you. It's good to know both of these aspects of yourself. And now you are able to set out on your journey with newfound knowledge and emotional strength in all aspects of this. Okay. Now, this right here is seeing things from a lack of mindset. It's either one or the other. You have all of these thoughts and emotions, and you're giving into all of them, and you're not really understanding what is good or bad for you. But right here, you understand that there's nothing really for your harm. There's everything for your enlightenment. So you go from this place of feeling that things are good or bad, is either good or bad, to understanding that everything good is bad, everything bad is good, and understanding how to utilize that moving forward. Okay. So let's get some final energies before we close out. And so I just want to encourage you guys to get your pen and paper out again. I'm going to take some more notes, okay? So when it comes to understanding black and white, being in that area of greatness and being flexible with your thinking, right? Okay, so understanding, make a list of 5 positive qualities that you or someone else that you have. Write down the qualities that you have or someone else around you have, and think about the people that are around you that could see things from a black and white perspective, a gray perspective. You think about the people who are around you who are set on, yes or no, good or bad, black or white, and think about the flexibility for the individuals that that have these qualities where they are more flexible, they are more understanding. Think about how their life is more simplistic and more balanced and more enlightened than others. Okay, just think about that. But think about that in a space of no judgment. We have the Goddess of Sacred Power, and it says you are being encouraged to take a leading role in the current situation. Let's see what else we have. We have the God of spiritual healing. An aspect of you or a situation in your life is need of healing. We have the angel of psychic abilities. Your intuitive and psychic abilities are strong at the present. We have the angel of emergence. It is time for the real you to emerge. Let's get one more for you. And we have the angel of finances. Honor and give thanks for the blessings you are about to receive. So this is a tangible aspect. And at the bottom of the deck, we have the angel of manifestation. And so it's important to see what it is that you don't see right now. Your vision is very on shore, on spot. What you feel is right, but you have to go within, understanding that you are being encouraged to take a leading role. You are the leader in this situation, and we look at this as two faces. So right here where you have to go into your alter ego, you have to go into your higher self to tap into this energy here, but ultimately you hold the power of this. So it's important to go within and to take a leading role in the situation where you want results, because this situation is in need of spiritual healing. Happy are those conscious of their spiritual needs. That's a very important scripture that we need to just understand. That's a very important quote in life that we just need to understand. Happy are those conscious of their spiritual needs. And so spiritual healing is needed in this situation. Okay. And the angel of emergence, it is time for you to, the real you, because when we suppressing things about ourselves, we're not allowing the real us to shine through as it should. And I look at that as one of my favorite poems where it says, our deepest fear is not inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measures. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us the most. And we ask ourselves, who am I to be talented, gorgeous, and brilliant? And actually, who are we not to be? Our playing small does not serve anybody, not the world, not ourselves, not nothing. And so we have to understand that we have to be exactly who we are. And so it's saying that the real you are about to emerge. And when we do this work, and this is what I was talking about, is that, you can get to a place in your life where you are completely different from where you are now. Next year around this time, you will be a completely different person, because you implemented these little notes that we've wrote down, and then you actually put them into play. And when you do your homework, it's just like school, right? When you're going for a degree, or you're going for a high school diploma, or wherever you are in your education, you think about what results that you want, and you stick to the script throughout the entire time. You do the work, you take in the knowledge, you study for it, you put it into practice, and then you receive the results. And so that's exactly what this is. And so that's why we say the angel of finances here, and also the angel of manifestation, because your efforts, determination, and perseverance have paid off. Not only have it paid off in a way that you are now content with yourself and you are enlightened, but it also pay off in tangible aspects. And this is what we talk about, Pentacles energy. Okay, so this is what I have for the collective today. I hope you guys enjoyed this reading. The examples that I've shared with you guys, I hope you were able to digest it and it resonate with you in a way that it make sense. Should you need further support or enlightenment, you can reach out to my team by texting clarity to 248-986-4925. Someone with my team will get back to you as soon as possible, and then we can move further from there to help you with the support that you need. Okay, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time.